Hey there, everybody. Welcome. It's the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze. Thank you all so much for making some time to come kick it with your homie and just let me ramble on. Who said that? Who sang that, Northern Witch? Who sang Ramble On? Why am I drawing a blank? It wasn't Skinner. Who was it? It was some other. It was some other long haired hippies. Jesus. How come I can't think of that? Now I'm upset with myself. And I asked D like I knew she knew, right? I knew Northern Witch know the answer because she gonna tell me here in 2 seconds. Anyway, welcome everybody. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. I hope you all are enjoying this wonderful month of July. I don't know why I like July so much. Psych! I know why I like July so much. It's my birthday month. And it is my birthday at the end of the month. And you guys know that we try to schedule our summer fundraiser to coincide with my birthday, which I think is an interesting hook there for fundraising, but it is what it is. So with any time yet, but you can send money anytime you felt like it. But towards the end of the month, yeah, we will be kicking off our summer fundraiser. After all, you guys, this is independent media. This is Black woman led media. Y'all know Coca-Cola ain't cutting me no check, nor would I take one from Coca-Cola. I'd probably take a check from actual cocaine before I took a check from Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Like if we're gonna ingest the things, and fuck it, let's ingest the good things. God damn it. Let's not do the soda pop. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. We've got a good show for all of you in store today. Please, if you're joining us, hit some buttons and shit. hit some thumbs up. Please subscribe. Consider becoming a member. Consider becoming a patron. I'll list all those ways that you can support the channel coming up here in just a little bit. Plus, we're going to announce the abortion fund. My apologies, everybody, for Tuesday's show. Restream decided we was finished. Restream said that they'd had enough of the Burn It Down with Kim Brown program, and they cut the stream. So we don't really know what the fuck happened. Me and Will was still very much connected to each other, and the internet was connected. So it was clearly a restream issue, which is an issue. So there's that. So we will be announcing the new abortion fund for the month of July. So stay tuned for that if you could. And I want to thank some people that have actually ran us some bucks, some support since Tuesday's call out. So for that, I too remain grateful. What is a couple things I want to talk about? Oh, okay. So on my agenda today, I'm gonna hit some of the shits that I was unable to get to on Tuesday because I said Restream decided we was done early. But I wanted to get in a little bit something that I alluded to on Instagram recently. And big up to Anna Hart. Anna, I got your text, babe. And much love to Anna, Mama Lorraine, and Learn Life Abby. This Saturday is the July Disability Support Chat. If you're able to join us, it's happening at 5 p.m. Eastern. And Anna let me know my Instagram spiel perhaps inspired this weekend's topic about disability, social death, inclusion, accessibility, and I want to get into that a little bit towards the end of the show. Um, I didn't talk about it Tuesday, and I wanted to, so I do want to take a moment to do that. Also, we're going to get into the story. I guess I got cut off in the middle of, but when I looked a little bit deeper about what's been going on in like literally the past week and a half when it comes to our nurses, there was an interesting nurses strike that happened in Austin, Texas. You guys hear about this? The nurses who work at Ascension Seton Medical Center they waged a 1-day strike, but plot twist, the fucking hospital wouldn't let them back in when the strike was over. Just left their patients. I mean, it's a fucking madness. So nurses are unionizing, and I think we need to be paying attention because they are on the front lines of our healthcare system. And with nurses leaving the profession literally in droves, and as I move onward in my middle age, I'm like, wait a fucking second, man. We might need these nurses. Ain't no might. We absolutely desperately need these nurses to be happy, safe, and able to provide their patients with the maximum level of care. But these greedy hospitals and healthcare companies are trying to maximize profits. They don't give a fuck about our care. at all. So I wanted to touch on some of the actions that I've seen, labor actions that we've seen some nurses do, just literally in the past several days. So big up. Hold on, y'all know what time it is. I gotta say what's up to all my people. Them. I see my son Tyler is in here. Hi, Tyler. Hope your summer's going good. Hey, Damien. Glad to see you in here as always, Damien. Thank you so much for staying up late on a Friday. You probably high as shit. But that's why you're Stoner Loner. We love you, Damien. Thank you so much for being here. We got Norwich D. We got Latif in the building. Who else do we have? Peace, Infinite Content. Good to see. What the fuck happened in Philly, Infinite Content? The motherfucker just walking around Philly in the tactical gear and just shooting. What the fuck? America is mad, everybody. Like, this is easily the most maddest, deranged, depraved country on the planet. Like, it does not happen like this other places. It just doesn't. Madness, fucking crazy shit. Hey, Donnie, good to see you in here, baby girl. Love to see you in here. So, thank you guys. Peace, Holly. What's up, Anna? Of course, we love to the hearts, Anna and Mama Lorraine. And speaking of madness, let's get into it because mass shootings 2023 so far has been a record year through 6 full months of mass shootings in the United States. We're knocking on 350, something outrageous. Like, it is incredible to me to even deep that there have been 350 mass shootings. What is a mass shooting? A mass shooting is defined by four or more people shot. And such a mass shooting occurred over the weekend in advance of the July 4th holiday in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm certain you guys heard about this. Interestingly enough, that same weekend there was a mass shooting in Baltimore and a mass shooting in DC. But we're going to stick on the Baltimore one for the purposes of this segment because what was allowed to transpire was a case study in not only police ineptitude, it was a demonstration about how police themselves are not promoters of public safety. They do not enhance public safety. Them being aware that potential harm is happening in the community, it's not enough for them to act. So I want us to get reapprised of the scene for those of you who may not be familiar with this. So what happened? We're gonna see. We're if you could get the video queued up for me, Will. We're gonna check out the package. You guys know I like to look at the local news to see how these BAM is actually covered as shit because usually it is from a propagandist perspective, and this story is absolutely no different. And we're going to check out some print pieces that go to show you that reinforce the propaganda. Like, there was nothing police could do. What could they do? How about answer the 911 calls, you fucking pieces of shit? We'll get into that. Hold on, because there's a whole timeline surrounding this mass shooting. The mass shooting, by the way, 30 people were shot, 2 people were killed. The murdered included an 18-year-old girl and a 20-year-old young person. A good number of these 30 gunshot victims were under the age of 17. A number of them had been treated at Maryland shock trauma. What have I told all you non-DMVers about shock trauma? If you get took to shock trauma, you are fucked up. You are in critical condition. That is a critical care situation. If they take you to Maryland shock trauma, you stand a good chance of dying. So the casualties, rather the murders, the actual deaths from this mass shooting in Baltimore easily could have been significantly more than two, but the two losses are certainly more than significant in their own right. So, what we're about to see here, we're about to see package from WJZ, which is, I think, the CBS affiliate in Baltimore. And then we're going to see a portion of the press conference given by the acting commissioner of the Baltimore City Police. And then we're going to get into what the residents have said about how, for hours before this mass shooting occurred, they were trying to get police to the scene, and the police drove by the shit, flew over the shit, Say we ain't going over there. That's almost a direct quote. They say we not going in there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's reset and set the scene and start out with this package from Baltimore's WJZ. Let's check it out.
New surveillance video shows dozens of people running through the street after shots fired in a Brooklyn neighborhood. An $8,000 reward now on the table to help police track down the killers of these two victims, 20-year-old Kylis Fogbemi and 18-year-old Aaliyah Gonzalez.
If there is anybody near an ambo with a white sheet that's available, I'm going to need it.
Police now releasing the ages of the 28 surviving victims of Brooklyn's mass shooting. 13 are 18 years or older, 15 are 17 years or younger, and the youngest victims are two 13-year-olds.
Going to need several more rolls of crime scene.
A block party turned into a nightmare early Sunday morning after police say two gunmen opened fire on a crowd of people on Gretna Court.
Anyone who has a gun that's in that area is a potential suspect.
The crime scene stretched across several blocks in the neighborhood. Dozens of shell casings littered the ground.
I know we got a lot of victims down.
This is the aftermath of utter chaos. Remnants of a celebration turned into tragedy. Trashed Solo cups, broken glass, and shoes left behind as people ran for their lives.
This is insanity. This cannot be the society that we are expected to live in.
Police say the event was unpermitted, and they have not said whether or not the shooting was targeted. Neighbors tell WJZ off camera there were no officers patrolling the area during the time of the party.
This was a reckless, cowardly act of violence that has taken two lives and altered many more.
At a press conference Sunday, Mayor Brandon Scott says state, federal, and local partners are on scene working to figure out who pulled the trigger.
I hope these folks don't sleep well, because we're not going to sleep until we pull them off.
Just after 12:30 a.m., we received calls for a shooting. We located 10 victims on scene. One victim, adult female, was pronounced deceased on the scene. 9 additional victims were transported from the scene to local hospitals. Shortly after, 20 additional victims walked into local and regional hospitals with various injuries. Currently, we're still at 30 victims. Ages range from 13 to 32. 9 victims remain at area hospitals in various conditions. 2 victims have been pronounced deceased. Our hearts and prayers continue to go out to the families, friends, this community, and our city as a whole. Our officers continue to scour the very large crime scene. We have assistance from our federal, state, and local partners. We've been on the phone with them all day. They've been providing resources, anything that they could get us to help. And I ask if anyone with information, please call 911 or Metro Crime Stoppers at 866-7-LOCK-UP.
So that was the acting Baltimore police commissioner. And this was actually some breaking news as of today. According to the Baltimore Sun, as of 7 hours ago, that the Baltimore police have arrested a teen allegedly linked to the deadly Black Party shooting. This is, again, nearly a week after the initial incident. And there was a couple of things said by some of the officials there from Baltimore. You hear Mayor Brandon Scott there talk about the cowardly act committed by the shooters, but what Mayor Scott doesn't mention is the cowardice that was actually shown by the police that night. And, there's been a lot of discussion amongst this. Like, this is a big story in Baltimore still, obviously, because this is I believe, the deadliest mass shooting in the city's history. Will, if you could pop up the Baltimore Brew piece, if you could, because the Brew did some really interesting reporting here. And there have been some changes to the ways in which the Baltimore City Police are broadcasting their radio transmissions. And I'm gonna get into that in just a moment, because that is a piece of this in a way. Because like a lot of other cities, and we'll get into which cities here momentarily, the Baltimore police have now decided to encrypt their radio transmissions. What does that mean? Well, if you have a regular old police scanner, That's done. You can't even listen to the police transmissions, the police radio transmissions anymore over the airwaves. You have to have an app. That doesn't sound like that's accessible to all the public, but we'll get into that in a moment. But circle back here to how residents described the hours leading up to that mass shooting. So, per the Baltimore Brew, it says police knew about guns, knives, and injuries hours before the mass shootings, but decided, quote, we're not going in the crowd, end quote. That was captured on radio transmissions, which is crazy. But let me get into some of the details here in this Baltimore Brew piece. And it says, in the aftermath of the worst mass shooting in recent Baltimore history, last Sunday, police have offered an explanation for why they weren't patrolling the event. Okay. If only the Baltimore police had more time, according to acting police commissioner Richard Worley. This is what he told reporters on Monday. He said, quote, we could have had a plan in place to affect something like last year if we had known it was coming. It, of course, being Brooklyn Day at the Brooklyn Homes, which is in South Baltimore, which was this party. The acting police commissioner's assertion just doesn't jive with police scanner transmissions, which show that hours, hours before gunshots left 2 people dead in the streets and 28 people injured, police were receiving 911 calls for help and were well aware that the crowd had swelled to 700 to 800 people as people gathered for Brooklyn Day Party, which was spinning out of control. A Southern District dispatcher told officers about, quote, armed people as early as 9:45 p.m. But there were no concrete steps taken to respond or to investigate. One of the officers joked to the dispatcher that the dispatcher should be redirecting calls to, quote, the National Guard, while another remarked, quote, they say everybody got a gun and a knife. At about 10:24 p.m., or about 2 hours before the mass shooting, the dispatcher passed along an address and said, people are fighting and shooting at the location. To which the officers replied, quote, we're not going into the crowd, end quote. And then the beat goes on to say, it says the scanner transmission confirms accounts given by many residents who say that they were calling police frantically, but got no response until gunshots rang out in the streets at about 12:30 a.m. I want you guys to just peep that. So the first calls to 911 started to come in at about 9:45. And the police, let's see, 9:40, 10:45, 11:45, 2 hours, so almost 3 hours. Residents were calling the police for help, saying that they saw people armed with weapons, that people were fighting, that there had even been gunshots previously. But it wasn't until almost 3 hours later, after a mass shooting, that the police actually decided to show up. Let me get back to the article. The Baltimore Brew requested the Southern District Dispatch audio earlier this week, but police said that the scanner transmissions were not available. Quote, we are working on requests, said spokesperson Lindsay Eldridge, without offering a date for a possible release. Isn't that interesting? Is that transparent, gang? Is that in the public interest? Back to the article. Turning to broadcastify/radioreference.com, the Baltimore Brew reviewed 5 hours of Southern District audio stream from the period before, during, and after the shooting. It indicates that at most, one or two officers observed the crowd from a distance before the shooting, making no arrests, while a sergeant relied on the Foxtrot police helicopter to provide flyby intelligence. The sergeant asked the Foxtrot for a head count of the crowd sprawled across the parking lot and narrow alleyways of the Brooklyn Homes public housing complex, saying that they had gotten 911 calls about, quote, discharging firearms in the area. He asked if anything looked suspicious. Nah, negative, the pilot said. All he saw were, quote, fireworks going off and approximately 700 people just walking around hanging out. That was a quote from the pilot, according to the Brew, listening to the Southern District Police radio transmissions on Broadcastify, not even on the actual radio waves. So then the Brew goes on to give a transcript of the interactions between the dispatch and the officers, I suppose, patrolling the area. And it's a lot of fucking snark. I can't even. There's a lot of this. I encourage you guys. Maybe I can drop this in the chat so you all can check it out on your own. But the Brew did some pretty extensive journalism here, and I was very glad to see it. But there was a couple things that I wanted to get to. So it says at 12:33 a.m., police were dispatched to Brooklyn Homes, responding to reports of widespread gunfire and wounded people. What time was that? 12:33. Don't forget, y'all, they started to get the first calls about the shit getting out of hand and the shit getting rowdy at 9:45. Okay? Back to the article. They were met by hundreds of panic party goers, crying mothers and screaming children, bullet-scarred cars, and blood splattered on the streets and on the sidewalks. Police located about a dozen wounded people, including 18-year-old Aaliyah Gonzalez, who was fatally shot at Gretna Court, and they also discovered 20-year-old Kairos Fagnami, who would later die at the hospital. Fire department medics transported 9 victims to area hospitals, while 20 more victims walked into hospitals with gunshot wounds. Altogether, police say 30 people were shot, 20 of them between the ages of 13 and 18, by firearms wielded by 2 or more assailants that police have not yet apprehended, but as I have just reported to you several hours ago, maybe about lunchtime, police have said that they have made an arrest of a teen. So, let me circle back here. Let me come a little bit here to the whole point I'm trying to make, guys. I mean, there's a couple things going on here. Obviously, the United States is it's a deeply unwell place, right? 300, I believe that this mass shooting in Baltimore was the 339th mass shooting. Now, I, I can't even begin to tell you what mass shootings have taken place since. But I'm pretty assured that some mass shootings have taken place since this one, right? Because that's just the nature of the beast, the actual beast in which we reside. Like, this is how people in this country resolve their issues, express frustration, express anger, it fulfills some sort of murderalistic fantasies that they may have. This is how they get back at their partners. This is how they get back at people who offended them, pissed them off, rejected them. Like, this is how America is. And I hate the fact that it's framed to us as this is a gun problem. No, this is a fucking people fucking problem. Like, the people are unwell. The guns are just the the means, the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? There are countries that have lots of guns. What's the country that you have to have a gun? Where is it? Switzerland? Everybody got to have some sort of arms training. They got guns all over the fucking place. Does this shit happen in Switzerland? No. It does not go down like this. But so there's that. There's the one aspect of it, the obvious aspect of it that we really need to continue to come back and address, because I disagree. Well, let me say this. It is in part the proliferation of guns and the ease of accessibility to guns. But if the people were better, if we were well, if we weren't such a deeply fucked up society, the gun wouldn't be used. We would find other ways to express ourselves, right? There's that. Secondly, in Baltimore, and basically every city that you can think of, and I'm sure you've heard this rhetoric in your city where you live, but I hear it a lot in the DMV. I live closer to DC, and it's the same fucking spiel. When the summertime comes, young people have fewer things to do, a lot more shit to get into, unfortunately. But their circumstance remains the same. And in fact, their circumstances can even, in fact, get worse in the summer, because at least when kids go to school, they have access to meals, assumedly, right? Like they can go get them something to eat. I don't know if that's the case in the summer. I don't know if kids' situation improves or goes down in the summer, but the violence tends to go up. And when the violence, the quote unquote gun violence, goes up, all the cries for, well, the police need more resources, the police need to be funded more. The police get all the fucking money in cities like Baltimore, where I know I repeat myself quite a bit, but it's the fucking truth. Who do you think gets the most money? Who do you think gets funded the most in Baltimore City? Is it the Department of Transportation? Is it the Department of Parks and Recreation? Is it the Baltimore Health Department? Is it the Baltimore Public Schools? Absolutely not. It is the Baltimore City Police Department that gets the lion's share of the city budget. And they got broke off with a few more $1 million because they wanted to keep their activities even more even more opaque, not transparent, the opposite of transparent, more clouded, more muddled to the public. Will, if you could please throw up that Baltimore Sun piece. Even though, let me say this, it's fuck the Baltimore Sun, because the Baltimore Sun put me behind a paywall. And this article I'm about to read y'all is not even from the Baltimore Sun. It's actually, I got it from Yahoo, because the Baltimore Sun was on some bullshit, but I had already pulled the link and put it on the doc. So I was like, well, fuck it, we'll just keep it up there. But the information is still the same. So and it's all shiny propaganda. So even though it says Baltimore Sun on your screen, the article I'm about to read you is actually from Yahoo, which blessed us with a ginormous turd of propaganda that, if I were a person who had any expectations of the of mainstream media, I might be disappointed. But you can't disappoint me when I have no expectations of you. So this headline, I think, actually reads the same. So it says, Baltimore police encrypt radio transmissions and offer the public access to a 15-minute delay. Well, isn't that just so magnanimous of them? It is so magnanimous of the most highly funded public agency in Baltimore City to offer some public access. Motherfucker, the access should be everything. Hold on, but you guys got to hear this, because this shit is nuts. And actually, this is a reprint of the Baltimore Sun article. And let me shout out the author, the reporter, Darcy Costello. This is a shameful piece of propaganda. I don't know Darcy. Never met Darcy. I'm sure Darcy's lovely. But Darcy wrote a turd of a propagandist piece on this here. Now listen to this. It says, Baltimore's days of residents and reporters listening to live police radio broadcast traffic, monitoring developments in real time. What's happening, guys? Those days are numbered. So beginning Thursday, the Baltimore Police Department is encrypting its radio traffic and implementing a 15-minute delay on live radio broadcast available only on the Broadcastify platform, accessible online or via mobile app. Old scanners will no longer pick up the police radio signal, officials say. Interested listeners will instead have to use Broadcastify, which comes at no cost to the department or to members of the public. A paid premium subscription to the site allows for access to archived radio footage. Who is calling me? Somebody who does not watch my program, quite obviously. Police officials Thursday said that the move would enhance officer safety by preventing suspects from hearing the strategies or monitoring real time activities of officers, while also maintaining transparency for the public. Baltimore police. Well, wait, hold on. I read that wrong. Well, I didn't read it wrong, but I read it. I hit the inflection on the wrong part. It says it will prevent suspects from hearing strategies or monitoring the real time activities of the police officers. Also maintaining transparency to the public. That's a period at the end of that, which sounds like some absolute nonsense bullshit, doesn't it, everybody? How is taking something off of the public airwaves making it transparent and accessible to the public? It isn't. But listen to this little kicker, which I don't believe. I don't mean to taint y'all with my opinions before I have my bad, but for y'all not gonna believe this shit either. So I mean, I know who I'm talking to here. It says Baltimore police will not have access to alter or to edit the radio transmission before it goes to Broadcastify. Do you guys believe that? Fuck no. The move by Baltimore police follows other large agencies across the country, including Denver, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Louisville, Nashville, Las Vegas, New Orleans, and cities in California. It's also under consideration in cities such as New York City and Indianapolis. Louisville Metro Police, like Baltimore Police, implemented a 15-minute delay last year, saying that it would allow officers to, quote, keep scenes as safe as possible, end quote. Others have opted to encrypt the transmissions entirely or block them off to everyone except for some media outlets. What is the purpose of that? I mean, I know what the purpose of it is. Y'all know what the purpose of it is. But anyway, let me get through this because y'all got to hear how propagandist this fucking dumbass piece is. Baltimore officials said that they had discussed encryption of the radio broadcast altogether. And going to trusted media partners, um, a radio to listen live. Wait, what is this? It says Baltimore officials said they had discussed encrypting the radio broadcast altogether and giving trusted media partners a radio to listen live. Oh, okay, I got it. But determined that the quote best move was to ensure access to the transmissions for the entire public, just on a delay. Well, what if you don't have cell service? Like, what if you're connected to Wi-Fi and you want to listen to but you know what? Let me calm down. And the Baltimore police spokesperson says, quote, this is the way that we feel like we can strike a balance. We're ensuring that we're protecting our officers from what? Ensuring that the radio transmissions are still accessible and transparent to the public. But again, doing it in a way that is much more modernized and in a practice that matches other large jurisdictions. Oh, it does say the story continues. Well, and let me say this. So at least the first half of this, let me see what the story continues says, because I I'm waiting for the opposition. Like where where is the quotes from the people that oppose this? Because this is absolutely another method of the police trying to conceal their actions and trying to make what they do more difficult for the public to know about, monitor, and to interpret in real time. I, please tell me that okay, I'm sorry. I'm just scanning here and I don't see opposition quotes. I don't see. Oh, wow. That's very disappointing. And this is where the media falls down on the job because the media loves to blur the lines that police safety and public safety are the same thing. You can get rid of that, Will. Thank you. They try to blur the lines that police safety and public safety are one and the same. So, oh, if something is there to quote make officers more safe, well, then surely it makes the public more safe. Well, that's incorrect because the police are a whole menace out here. Will, put me back on screen. Did we die? Are we not? Okay, I was about to say, did Restream kick us off again? Did Restream kick us off again? They didn't. I'm sorry. Knowing less about the police actions or even knowing about what the police are doing in real time on a 15-minute delay, do you guys understand how much fuckery can happen in 15 fucking minutes? You guys know like what a slap in the face to the public interest and to the police as a publicly funded force being accountable to the public. And the fact that the Baltimore police were even considering encrypting all of their shit. They the way that this story is framed, it's like we should be grateful that we're getting to hear any radio broadcast because they was going to get rid of the whole shit and only give radios to quote trusted media sources. Like who? The Baltimore Sun? Like who? Fox 45? Like who are the trusted media partners? I bet you it wouldn't have been no black led media like Lisa Snowden's Baltimore beat. You know what I'm saying? Who's a trusted media source that the Baltimore police would entrust their lone radio communications to? Like, yo, like, here come fascism, da da da. But let us be clear here. The police are not going to get the proper blame that they deserve for this mass shooting, right? In what world do the police keep us safe? In what world are the police responsive to the concerns of the public? That's a huge problem, I think, in a lot of places. And it's not just isolated to Baltimore. But the people on these police forces, those who are manning and womaning these occupying forces in our community, they have no respect for the community. And they like to generalize our communities, paint them with a broad brush. Oh, they're shithole cities and these people don't care. And but when the people clearly care and want you to come do your job, you either scared, soft as scrotum skin with your fear, or you're really not interested. You don't want to mix it up with the people. Because that's why so many of our folks and people across this country end up getting murdered by the police. Because at the end of the day, these people are cowards with badges and guns. They don't want to get in there and mix it up. They don't want to actually go in there and be police. They don't want to go into a crowd of 700, 800 young people and tell them it's time to disperse, it's time to go home. You don't have to go in there and make arrests. You go in there and clear it out. It's time to leave. Y'all been out here I'm sorry. Like, I mean, and I mean, and I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the residents. You understand? Like if I live in Brooklyn Homes and I see that the day party is now going into the night and there's more kids out here, or we have to be fucking kids. There's more people out here. People getting drunker, people, possibly getting, I mean, all kinds of shit. Okay, right? It could be a variety of things. That is the police's job to come and disperse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, ideally, if we had community control, etc., right? We could have the elders or the large brothers or whom the fuck ever monitoring the situation, de-escalating potential squabbles, right? Telling kids, younger kids, 13, 12, it's time for you to go home. It's 11 o'clock. It's 11:30. It's time for you to get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Ideally, we would have preferred that to happen, but that seemingly did not happen. And for the ones that receive hundreds of millions of dollars in their budget, they were called upon and they couldn't be bothered. They were scared. They said, call the National Guard. Like some snarky fuck. I bet you that fucking Baltimore cop lives in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just some snarky fucking race undergirded comment because of the uprisings that happened several years ago. So now it's called a National Guard when it's a bunch of people assembled, but you can't be bothered. But listen to the amount of propaganda. And let me be clear. Let me shout out some citizen run organizations that have been louding up the thing, including at Scan the Police on Twitter, at Scan the Police. You guys need to go follow them. They were one of the accounts that I saw when these I may have this wrong, and if I don't know if the fire fam, I don't know if we quite niggapedia over here. I don't know if we quite as niggapedia as the fucking BPM chat. But if you know, say something. Because I thought it was an additional $6 million was allocated to the Baltimore Police Department budget to encrypt their radio transmissions. I may have that wrong. But anyway, Scan the Police was an account I saw on Twitter months ago, a long time ago, louding up the thing like, hey, they're trying to take away public access to police activities, and they're actually going to use more of taxpayer funds, public money, to make the way that they operate less transparent, less disclosable about what they're doing. Shout out to Baltimore Legal, at Balt Legal, BALT Legal. Another really good public advocacy account and organization that helps to stand up for people's human and civil rights in Baltimore. You guys, the cops ain't shit. The cops do not keep us safe. The cops do not prevent mass shootings. The cops aren't even willing to go in there and talk to people. You know, if they can't go in there and shoot people, then they don't want to fucking be bothered. And in far too many instances, the media operate as cop stenographers. I don't know. And again, I'm always here for a correction. Beyond at Scan the Police, beyond I'm sure Lisa Snowden and Baltimore Beat were loud up the thing as well when it was announced that the police transmissions were going to cease. I'm wondering, were any of the mainstream TV outlets, news outlets, did they protest? Did they raise an objection to the public information officer of Baltimore City Police? Like, did anybody, were y'all mad about this? It doesn't it if you live in Baltimore, you know what I'm talking about. When I watch Baltimore news, I'm watching news outlets and reporters and anchors who want to remain on the good side of the cops. And I don't think that you can remain on the good side of the cops and still serve the public interest of monitoring police actions and the actions of elected officials. Like, I just don't think that you can expect to have a good relationship with the cops and cover them fairly, because they're a fucked up institution. You understand? Like, I mean, it's rotten from the ground up and from the top down. Like, it's not no few rotten apples, because a few rotten apples spoil the entire bunch. So I don't see how you can try to be in good standing as a media outlet, as a reporter, as a TV news, whatever. I don't see how you can try to remain in good standing with the cops and cover them fairly. So keep monitoring, and as will I, you guys, this situation. happening in Baltimore with this latest mass shooting. I'll update you again. They just made an arrest earlier today. Who the fuck knows if the person they arrested actually did the shit? Because Baltimore police is good for that shit too. They will throw the wrong motherfuckers in jail. And the Baltimore State's Attorney, as we know with the case of Keith Davis, also the State's Attorney's office, fantastic for that shit too. Prosecute motherfuckers who ain't had shit to do with shit. So we'll keep an eye on it for everybody. Anyway, let me take a quick break here. Thank you all so much for jamming. And we'll be jamming it to the break of dawn. Nobody ever told you that you would be jamming it to the break of dawn. Real quick, let me pick up some people that ran us some bucks, and I'm grateful. I told y'all Quaker ran us. Quaker paid her Juneteenth tithe. Thank you, Quaker. Thank you so much. I had to laugh. I mean, it tickles me still that she sent money for Juneteenth. I said, look at Quaker, a real one out here. Thank you so much to Brandon V. Thank you, Brandon, for your Venmo support. Thank you so much to Patrick S. for your continuing Cash App support of the channel. Thank you, Donnie. Who is that? Oh, thank you, V. Did I already thank V? See, V and Black Magic, two different people. No, I think that, yes, I think they are two different people. Thank you, V. And again, thank you, Infinite Content. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Who is that? What does that say? Oh, that says Quaker. Okay, but that was from, okay. And then, okay, that's something else. Okay. So thank you all so much for supporting the channel. You could do so a lot of ways. You can become a channel member. You can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/BIDWKB, Cash App, $ BIDWKB, Venmo at BIDWKB, and PayPal at what is it? PayPal.me/BIDWKB. Carl L. Thank you, Carl L, for your Venmo support as well. Thank you guys. You guys, again, don't let me, if for whatever reason I don't shout you out. It's not anything personal. I just be forgetting. I just be forgetting. What's up, James? Good to see you in here, baby. Who else we got up in the jump? Got up in the jump. Ooh, ooh. Got up in the jump. We got up in the jump. Okay, let me get through this because I would like to turn y'all loose at a reasonable hour. I appreciate you all being here. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up on your way in or out or whatever you feel like doing. So, where am I going here? Ah, okay. So, this has been an interesting year for me dealing with the medical system, right? The healthcare system. At it, but not as the patient, as a caregiver, right? And what I discovered, well, I, our healthcare system is on shaky ground. And I don't think that we are fully grasping that. I don't think we are fully grasping that. So what do I mean specifically? I'm talking about the plight of nurses in the US, and not just in the US. By the way, Canada is having a time with nurses leaving the profession in droves. So I mean, I mean, it seems to be, I won't say an exclusively a Western problem, but it definitely appears to be a North American problem because Canada's having problems and the US is having problems too, retaining nurses and making sure that the medical environments are safe not only for patients but for nurses as well. You guys, without nurses, the medical system don't run. You think these doctors could do fuck all without nurses? No, they could not, right? How do you think we would be as patients without nurses? F'd in the A and not in the fun way. So there was an action last week, Austin, Texas. Well, at the end of June, going into the first, part of July. And I want to pick up the story from Ford Sanders, a TikToker whose video I was able to locate because I was looking for something else entirely, and I wasn't even aware that this strike action had taken place. So let me give you a little bit of a primer here. Late last year, I think it was actually back in September, in Austin, Texas, the nurses at Ascension Seton Medical Center voted to unionize. 1 month ago, back in June, these nurses overwhelmingly voted in favor of a strike action. And in late June, they agreed to do a 1 day strike to bring attention to the patient to nurses staffing ratios, of which the nurses say help to foster unsafe conditions, the lack of adequate breaks that these nurses get to take, and a host of other issues. So let's take a look at the TikTok from Ford Sanders, who was on the scene out in front of Seton Medical Center there in Austin, Texas, as the nurses were going through their 1 day strike action. And after we come back from looking at this, you guys, there was a bit of a plot twist. It was a bit of a plot twist. But let's take a look at their 1 day strike down there in Austin.
Nurses with Ascension Seton here in Austin, Texas are officially on strike. I want to go ahead and show you what's going on right now. You guys can see all of these nurses lined up and down the streets here off of 38th Street in Austin, Texas, right outside of Ascension Seton Medical Center. They are demanding safe staffing. They are demanding a union contract. They're demanding the board to approve on that union contract and bargain in good faith. One of the big things here is these nurses said that they authorized a strike just for June 27th, which is today, but Ascension responded saying they're disappointed and they're actually going to not allow these nurses to return to work until July 1st. A lot of these nurses tell me that that is irresponsible due to the fact that they are only on a 1 day strike to make sure that their patients are okay, but now Ascension is adding an extra 3 to 4 days and not allowing them to come back. They say they're actually going to show up tomorrow in their scrubs and be ready for their shift. But you can see all of these nurses right here, community supporting, and today they are on strike.
Love to see it. You guys know that we love the strike actions and the protest scenes. We love these things. We love for especially workers to assert their rights. Hey, somebody ran us some money. Wait a minute. Skirt. And the nurses said the nurses want better conditions. I don't even think that this is necessarily a money issue. Oh, Freddie France. Oh, Freddie French. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for that, Freddie French. We love you. You know we love Freddie French around here, even though she's in, she's in under pseudonyms and shit. TWO, that's cool. Freddie France. Somebody call him Crazy Joe. Somebody call him Batman. Nah, that's the wrong quote. Anyway, my bad. Let me get refocused. So this 1 day strike action there. June 27th was the day that the nurses voted to strike, and you heard the TikToker there, reporter. They call a man a reporter. He reporting and shit. You heard the reporter there say that the hospital said no. Your 1 day strike actually sounds like it's basically an unpaid suspension, that the hospital would not allow these nurses to return back to work, back to their shifts for an additional 3 to 4 days until July 1st. And I said, surely they didn't do that. I said, surely that did not happen. Guys, that absolutely fucking happened. Look at this package from a local media, local TV news outlet there in Austin. Let's take a look.
As the sun rose Saturday morning, some Ascension Seton nurses returned back to work.
We had our strike on Tuesday. The community support was amazing. We were so thrilled. It felt very powerful.
Nurses flooded the streets in front of Ascension Seton Tuesday to bargain for contracts that would alleviate staffing shortages. The demonstration was the largest nurses' strike in Texas's history, the union says. Ascension hired temporary nurses to fill gaps during the strike. The hospital said it did not allow striking nurses to return until Saturday because of the required length of the contract for the temporary staff. So when nurses tried to return to work Wednesday after the one-day strike, security guards met them at the door, telling them they could not return for 3 more days.
We just wish they hadn't chosen to lock us out.
Christine Kittleson is a nurse who works with new moms and their babies. She was also at the strike on Tuesday.
We're spread too thin, and we're not able to provide the care that we've promised people and that we're here to give them. And that's why we came into this profession, to feel like really empowered after the strike and really empowered together. And we're feeling stronger than ever, so we're ready to continue on and get this contract settled.
Ascension sent us a statement calling the strike disheartening, but that they will continue to negotiate in good faith until they can come to a mutually beneficial agreement that respects the human dignity and rights of all. Crittenden said that while the lockout was frustrating, the conversations that have taken place over the last week have been encouraging.
So it's been very rewarding to be able to have that communication with us.
Sam Stark, KXAN News.
The hospital locked the RNs out of the hospital because they had retained contracts for temporary nurses to fill the day of the one-day strike, but I guess the contracts had a minimum of 3 to 4 days. I mean, just the optics. Just the optics. Even if it, I guess, loosely made sense from a corporate perspective, the optics of that look fucking terrible. Like, you're locking out nurses, seriously? Just completely outrageous. So we've seen a lot of these. We've seen a lot of nurse strikes, a lot of healthcare worker strikes over the past couple of years. These actions have really ramped up since the pandemic, when nurses and the other so-called essential workers found out that no, they were actually not essential. They were very expendable. They will be on the front lines of a global pandemic, and their safety and considerations be damned. And rightfully so, a lot of people in that profession said, fuck that. I'm not fucking expendable, bitch. You know what's expendable? This fucking job. I quit this bitch. And between retirement ages, between nurses of a certain age heading towards retirement, leaving the profession, towards even younger nurses who experience a wide range of working conditions, literally from coast to coast. I was on Nurse Talk on Nurse TikTok, and the girlies was breaking it down. They were saying, California has some of the better nursing protections for to help prevent against nurse burnout. They are given frequent breaks. They have very strict patient to nurse ratios, and that this can also vary between unionized hospitals and non-unionized hospitals. I saw a number of nurses on Nurse Talk complaining about nurses unions. I saw other nurses gushing over nurses unions. So I mean, either way, this is what we're realizing, and this is what these nurses as workers themselves are realizing, that they are not here to be burned out. They are not here to be sacrificed on the front lines of the next pandemic, which by the way, I'm seeing the news stories, the propaganda pieces starting to pop up in July about the coming triple demic this fall and winter. The triple demic of influenza, COVID, and RSV. They're already anticipating big surges in people being sick. I'm seeing anecdotally, nothing that I can prove scientifically, but anecdotally, I'm seeing on social media, there's new COVID strains, floating around that mimic pneumonia potentially. Like, there's just shit happening here that we're going to need nurses for, okay? And the nurses are getting burnt out. The nurses are getting fed the fuck up. And should the nurses exit, should we reach a critical mass of nurse exodus from the profession, our healthcare system is fucked. And it's not just going to be the emergency care, the acute care, critical care aspect of the shit that's going to be fucked. You're going to be fucked trying to go get a colonoscopy. You're going to be fucked trying to get a lumpectomy. You're going to be fucked trying to get kidney stone, gallbladder. I mean, stuff that is so-called routine procedures are going to be harder to schedule, harder to obtain. People are going to end up not being able to get these procedures and surgeries, relatively minor surgeries done because you're not going to have the staffing for it. It's just not going to be there. Is America doing anything to shore this up? Absolutely not. And it's just another example of the institutions of this country literally crumbling in front of us. And it sucks for all of us, but it particularly sucks for those who are chronically ill, for those who are disabled, for those who are elderly, for those who are headed towards being elderly. I'm shook. Okay, I'm shook the fuck up. What's all this going to look like in 15, 20 years? Madness. That's what it's going to look like. It's going to look fucking crazy. So we want to send solidarity to the nurses. Now let me repeat something that I had touched on Tuesday, but because the stream got cut off, maybe some of this got cut off. But Will, if you could throw up that tweet, I believe it's from the Washington Business Journal. It's been reported that the nurses at the George Washington University Hospital here in Washington, D.C., have voted to form a union. They will be allied with the DCNA, the DC Nurses Association. So what this does, it opens the door for contract negotiations with their employer at the Foggy Bottom Hospital. Who was the employer? I believe it's Universal Health Systems or Universal Hospital Systems. If you could pop up yes. Some of the complaints from the GW hospital nurses, it all echoes the same thing. It's patient safety, it's being overworked. And I was listening to a nurse who represents, I believe, a Texas Nurses Association. And one of the things she mentioned that I hadn't even thought about that nurses encounter is the amount of workplace violence that happens in hospitals and in medical settings. And when she said that, I said that makes perfect sense, to be honest. First of all, hospitals are high stress areas, right? Like, who the fuck is having fun at the hospital? Nobody. Patient, nurse, doctor, guest, no one's enjoying the hospital, right? The hospital is a high stress situation. So I can understand that people's emotions run really high. I mean, shit, I mean, I didn't get violent at the hospital, but they act like they was playing some games, getting my mama her pain medication, and I had to raise my voice a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Security did come around, but the security was a bruv, so and he wasn't no coon ass, so he didn't put me out. Thank you, bruv, for that, for allowing me to remain at my mother's bedside. But I did have to get loud with them people and tell them about themselves. But that's neither here nor there. Hold on. But I was not violent. I just got loud, right? I'm talking about actual workplace violence that nurses in particular sustain on the job. And what clicked to me was, I mean, how gendered a profession nursing is, right? Of course, there are male nurses, no, without a doubt, but there are way more nurses who are women than there are men who are women. And violence against women is sanctioned. It's sanctioned in America. I mean, shit. When you listen to the flight attendants and the flight stewards talk about, we see the viral videos showing people attacking stewardesses all the time. I would imagine in gendered professions or professions where the gender representation is very lopsided, female heavy, women heavy, it would, yeah, that does. When they said that, when I heard this nurse from this nurses association say that, I'm like, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that makes perfect sense. So this profession is under duress, it is under attack. It is a casualty of corporate greed and corporate exploitation. Also, the further expansion of the criminalization of abortion is also driving medical professionals out of the field. Our healthcare, I can't say it's under attack because, I mean, if if you never had it, then you were always under attack, right? If you never even had access to quality health care, then you've already experienced quite a violence from this institution. But if you ever had any expectation of receiving medical care, you should probably start lowering those expectations. You should probably start lowering those expectations, because if we don't assist nurses, if we don't stand with nurses and other medical staff against the greed of these healthcare companies, against the greed of these hospitals, there's going to be nobody there. Like, should you have to call 911 to be taken to the emergency room? Who's going to be there to treat you? Who's going to be there to assist you? A lot of people who are going to be inexperienced, not properly qualified for the rigors and traumas of, let's say, ER nursing. If you see or have any opportunities to stand in unison or stand in solidarity with nurses, take the moment to do so. Congratulations to the nurses at George Washington University Hospital for their vote. I want to send solidarity to the nurses in Austin at the Ascension Seton Medical Center for their principled stand in action. And we need to be paying attention to this, and we need to learn basic CPR, first aid, and basic triage yourself, because should some shit go down and ain't no nurses available, we got to keep us safe. So there's that. All right. And let me will actually let me pop up the abortion fund real quick, and then I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I'm going to be out. So for the month of July, our abortion fund is going to be, what does it say? The All Options Hoosier Abortion Fund, which is going to support people in Indiana who need abortion care. Now, Molly said to me, and my apologies, I'll have this together next week because I really don't know. And I don't know if Shirley's in here with us. Shirley, what's going on in Indiana with the abortions? Bad. I mean, I already know it's bad. But Molly mentioned Indiana specifically, and it sounds like it's going to get worse. So whatever, no, how bad the abortion situation currently is in Indiana, it sounds like it's about to get worse. So we are supporting the All Options Hoosier Abortion Fund for the month of July. The channel will support this fund to the tune of $50. We ask that you guys join us in a $5 donation. If you want to find the All Access Hoosier Abortion Fund, you can go to the chat box at the top of the chat. Click on our link tree. You will find a link there that will take you directly to that abortion fund. And let me thank you guys. Did I mention this yesterday? We sent, it was like more like $360 to the ARC Southeast, Access Reproductive Care Southeast, the Black woman-led reproductive justice organization that helps women in the the Atlanta area obtain reproductive care. And you guys did that. Like, you guys really supported and sent money. So if you guys want to support the July fund, I encourage you to donate to them directly. But if you want to run into the channel, just denote that it's for the abortion fund. You guys, I thank you all so much for supporting me on that. And I'm gonna get out of here on this. So just a reminder, this Saturday, tomorrow, is it the 8th? I never know what day it is. Tomorrow's, Saturday, July 8th, 5 p.m. Eastern is going to be the July Around the Fire Disability Support Chat. And as always, thank you so much to Learn Life Abby and to the Hearts, to Anna and Mama Lorraine, for your dedication, for your consistency, for the obvious thought and heart, no pun intended, that goes into you guys doing these disability support chats. And I wanted to just briefly tell you guys, and I think I mentioned this a little bit on my Instagram. What is that? Is that Latif? Oh, thank you, Latif. Thank you so much for running the channel some bucks. The link tree. Oh, it has the May one. Oh, fuck. Thank you, babe. I'll hit Molly up and ask her to change that out. All right, but thank you for that, Latif. I appreciate it. I'll send Molly a message. So if you could pop up the picture for me, Will, of me and Jackie Luke Bond, because I'm bragging, I'm stunting on y'all right now. I'm stunting on y'all. You want to get stunted on? Put the picture up, man. You're killing me, Smalls. Smalls! You're killing me, Smalls. What's going on, Wilbert? This is very critical to my storytelling. There we go. So take a look there, you guys. Do you see that cute person standing next to me? That's Jacqueline. That is the Jackie Lukman of By Any Means Necessary Radio on Sputnik, of Lukman Nation on Black Power Media, of the Black Alliance for Peace, BAP, 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 BAP. That's the Jackie Lukman. Where am I with Jackie? Where the fuck did I bump into Jackie for the first time in real life? After doing the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media for over 2 years, for the first time I met in the flesh Jackie Lukman. Where were we? We were at Jared Ball's house. I couldn't believe it. We were at Jared Ball's house for Jared's book launch party for the second edition of The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power. And Jared had sent out the invite to folks, I guess BPM affiliated or whatever, locally. Yeah. And I had made Jared, during the course of us doing this morning show for 2 years, I have brought up my disability hither and thither. I've definitely mentioned that I'm disabled. You guys know I don't like to explicitly say what my disability is because motherfuckers is predators and creepy out here. So those who know. But Jared knew. Okay. And would you like to know what my experience was when I got to Jared's house? I was greeted and with asked for hugs. You know what I'm saying? Like which was hey Kim, what's up, Kim? You like, yes, you can. Thank you. You can absolutely hug me, and you can hug me longer because you asked. Thank you. There was such kindness and hospitality shown by all people there, but I have to highlight the hospitality shown by Jared and his wife. Like, knowing that I was coming there, because I already asked Jared. I said, hey, is it cool if I bring somebody? And you guys kind of already know the story. Like, we have some degrees of separation. So the persons that I came with were already known to Jared. So it wasn't like I brought a stranger over. I don't think it would have mattered because he told me I could bring whoever I wanted to bring over there, so long as I was comfortable. Cha-ching. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Big check there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a goofy. I wouldn't have brought no extra rando over there. But whatever. Jared said I could bring who I wanted. I came with people he knew. It worked out. So when it was time to go for us to do the broadcast, because we sat down, and they had plenty of food, plenty of drink. Now again, because of the time that I arrived, it was a little darker outside. And I'll keep it real with you guys. So sometimes, depending on where I am, depending on whose company I'm in, I won't always eat because I don't want to make a mess. Okay. Like, so in situations like that, I kind of know my limitations. So I opted not to eat, but not because of anything wrong with the food, just because it was my level of comfortability. And I still had to kind of settle down because I was still, anxious. I was still experiencing, decent levels of anxiety, but I'm trying to keep it cool because at the end of the day, everybody's making me feel cool. Hello. So when it's time to go upstairs to to the office to do the broadcast, Jared's wife in particular did some things that I felt were especially helpful. So the people that I was with were not used, even though I've known them a long time, they have not been put in a position where they've had to help me out in public. Like I'm very, very selective about who does that because not everyone is gifted that way. And to keep it a buck, some of y'all don't know y'all left from y'all right. if you try and if you try to help people who may have some mobility challenges for one reason or another, your understanding of left and right is very, very, very critical, right? So not everybody is cut out for the helper, companion, guide, you know what I mean? So the people I was with, who I came with rather, um not super great at that. But Jared's wife, being the sharp, quite astute lady that she is, Kim, what you're looking for is on your left. It's okay. Now you're going to turn to your right. She she did that unprompted. I didn't even have to say nothing to her. She came up. She did that on her own. And not everybody is that perceptive. You understand? And I appreciated that quite a bit. But like I said on Instagram, what the Balls and Jackie Luke Bond and Nefta Freeman and the others who I engaged with at the party, what they did for me, most important thing that they did is that they made me feel seen and not gawked at, you know. Woo! I was on Imani Barbarin's TikTok today. Shit! I'm having to play that. She said some fucking fire. I should have grabbed it. Goddamn. She said the people that are that claim to be inspired by your struggle or will always be there to watch you struggle because that's why they're there. I'm fucking up. I'm fucking up the paraphrase. Maybe I'll play this tomorrow at the disability support chat. But don't be inspired by my struggle, nigga. Fucking help. Like turn on a light. How lend a arm, lend a hand. Like don't watch me struggle like it's wild. But that's not what happened. That's why I'm even talking about the shit, because I needed to tell y'all some good shit happened on that front. I was invited to something social. My needs were expected, they were met, they were accommodated. I felt welcome and included. I didn't feel like, I mean, outcast is not the right word, but maybe outcast is the right word. I didn't feel that way. And that was because there was intention behind it. Attention behind making sure that I felt comfortable. But on the flip side, like I said, I had to give myself a little bit of credit here also, because I had to express that I would need some accommodation. You know what I'm saying? The accommodation that I needed was having somebody to come with me, right? Not a big thing. That's a very small thing. But oftentimes that's what accessibility is. It's usually not big things that people need. They usually need just very small, minor tweaks to the shit. You know what I'm saying? And anyone who doesn't want to accommodate a disabled person, you're just being a fucking ableist asshole. But I also had to end over or address slash overcome my own internalized ableism, as a good sister Anna Hart has talked about in the disability support chat. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I know I could. I said this last night or the other night on Instagram. I know I complain. I complain about the ables. I complain about the mans. I complain about the whites. I complain. I complain. I complain. Well, let me tell you, when the people them step up and when the people them do what I consider is a good revolutionary thing. If you are thinking about disabled people, if you are including disabled people, that is a revolutionary thing. And I'm gonna take y'all out on this from a good word from the good sis Imani Barbarin. If you're not already following Imani Barbarin, the fuck are you doing? She gets it right on disability rights, disability advocacy, and she's a deep sister. So check out this TikTok from Imani answering the question. Well, I'll let you guys hear the question. Let's take a look at that.
Your most radical belief?
My most radical belief is that I want disabled people everywhere, with as vast a sense of autonomy as humanly possible, and in positions of power in society. 9 times out of 10 when I talk about this, people assume I'm just talking about physical disabilities, or disabilities where people see the capacity of the disabled person as the same as their own. A lot of people see disability inclusion as just making space for the people that are as close to normal as possible. They just have a physical disability here and there. No, that's not enough. No, I want all disabled people to have radical autonomy and the power to make decisions about our society and how we should live together, including those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The most radical thing you could do if you care about disability advocacy and disability inclusion or what have you is to never assume somebody's capacity. The capacity for good or bad, the capacity to lead or follow. Unburden your mind from the assumptions you're taught to make from birth about disabled people. And that will in fact change all of your advocacy.
Well said there. Well said there, Imani. So yeah, you guys, what does that say? Someone, who is that? Emily? What's that? Canadian dollars? Girl, you better give them Canadian dollars to your nurses, to your nurses there in Ontario. It's a problem. But oh no, thank you, baby. Thank you. What did you say here, dearest Emily? You said recently got ghosted by a guy I met on a disability dating site when I mentioned I had ADHD. Seriously, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, you guys have to follow Imani Barberin on TikTok. She talks about all kinds of stuff pertaining to disability, and she actually kind of discussed something similar to that, Emily, where she talked about how difficult it was to kind of date on the apps as a disabled person because you end up actually kind of getting fetishized or something like that by Bamas who fetishize disabled people. I don't fucking know. It's a madness. But anyway, Imani has incredible insights, and her analysis is always on point. She does do thing always her commentary, that is, through the lens of race and class and disability and gender identity and sexual identity, because I think that she is queer, or she yeah. So join us tomorrow, Saturday, July 8th, for the disability support chat. If you are a YouTube member, you will see that link go up between tonight and tomorrow morning. If you're on Patreon, same thing. If you would like to join us for the disability support chat and you're not a YouTube member or a patron, that's okay. Go on over to Discord, reach out to Anna Hart. Anna we'll bless the people them with the link, etc. So I thank everybody in advance for those that are going to come and show up. So that's it, y'all. That's the show. I said I was going to turn y'all loose, and I lied. I just kept y'all for an hour and a half because I'm a big jerk. So my bad. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Much love. I appreciate all the folks that, hey, Afra, did you see Afra? Oh, Afra. Anyway, go look at my Instagram, Afra. I bigged you up. And I should have tagged you, but that's okay. I said Afra will discover it organically. But I'm glad. But no, and let me wow, I'm gone after this. While I'm bigging up the BPM crew who made me feel wanted and inclusive and fucking accessible and all that shit. I mean, big up to Afra. Me big up to my friend Ryan. Let me big up to Taya Graham, Steve and Janice. Like, I'm just thinking of the people that when I'm in their presence, they make me feel safe. Afra, you and Ryan make space for me in public. I can't tell you what that means to me. Oh my God, I'm about to cry. Don't cry. You make space for me, Afra. You know what I'm saying? That's huge. You don't make me get out of people's way. You make motherfuckers get out our way. Thank you. Though I don't like to shrink. I'm little out here. I'm shrunk enough. So thank you for giving me space, Afra. And Ryan doesn't watch the show, but thank you to Ryan. And thank you to Taya Graham and Steve and Janice, who, whenever I'm in their presence, they always are very considerate of my situation and always look out for me, and always. So if there's a disabled person in your life, everybody, I need you to be that person for them. Okay. I love the shit out of y'all. I will see y'all knuckles and non-knuckles back on here on Tuesday. Okay. On behalf of Will and Molly, thank you guys so much. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Have a good, safe weekend, everybody.